Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Schwartz, and I am finally back with another How to Draw video from Mr. Schwartz's Art Hour. Today, easily the most requested character that I've ever been asked to draw is finally here. Today, we learn how to draw Korra from the legend of Korra. Meet me on the other side of this scene transition, and let's get ourselves started, shall we? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so to draw Korra, we're going to keep things nice and simple, as we always do. Make ourselves a lovely little circle. Just like so. And then what we want to do is we're going to draw Korra looking slightly off to the left, just slightly. She's going to be more or less kind of directly facing us, but her head is just tilted ever so slightly to the left. So we're going to draw the middle line for the head, with just a little bit more space over on the right side than the left. We're going to draw it so it goes a fair distance down from the top of the head shape, which is what that's going to be. So leave about this much space down here. Then what we can go ahead and do is we can go ahead and do the sides of her face, and to do that we'll come back right up here to the circle that we drew before. And I'm basically going to want to draw a line that comes directly off of the side of the circle here. Ignore the camera lanyard that came into your vision for a second. And it's going to go until it's about halfway down between here and here. What we can do then is we can draw in the cheek area for Korra, which is just going to be a shape much like this. Now Korra actually does have a fairly well-defined chin, which from what I've seen, it looks like that she's probably about Zuko's age, so it fits that she would have a more fairly well-developed jawline. Haven't seen the show, so I don't know for certain how old Korra is, and if you know, just feel free to let me know in the comments down below. Then I'm going to just finish off the other side of her head by bringing this up into the head shape here. It doesn't really matter what this looks like here, this is going to be covered up by her hair later on. So here's the basic shape that you should have for right now. Fairly simple. Then what we can do is we can draw the eye line for Korra. And the eye line is going to be roundabouts right here. It's about in the middle of the head. So it has about equal space here and here. So now I'm going to zoom in here and we'll get her features in. Okay, now that I've zoomed in, let's go ahead and draw her nose. Now her nose is actually, again, it's fairly well defined, especially for a character in the art style of the Avatar series. So what we can do is we can draw the bridge of the nose, which is fairly flat, and it's going to be very close to the middle line of the nose of the face. And it's going to go down to roundabouts here, because actually that's a little bit too long, so let's shorten that up. Had to grab my kneaded eraser. Because the rest of the nose is actually the ball of the nose. So she has a pretty large nose in terms of the ball of or the middle of the nose. So this is about the shape that you should have. What we can do then is we can then draw the one side of the nostril, which we'll see over on the right side. Have a shape much like that. Just have it be not just a straight line, but a little bit of a sideways check mark. That usually helps me to associate the things that I'm drawing with other shapes that I would know. And it can also help too to imagine all these things as just shapes and not features on the face, because when you say the word features in your mind, then your mind starts associating, you know, what things should specifically look like, and it can mess you up. We can then draw the mouth while we're down here. So we're going to draw her mouth slightly open, so the top of the mouth is going to be angling down like so, and it's going to go down to about right here. And then we can draw the other side of the mouth that crooks up just a little bit, just slightly. And then what we can do is we can come in a little ways from this side of the mouth over here. And we're going to draw her mouth open like so. And that's not really necessary to draw anything else in here. You could draw lines for the teeth, but when a character is in this Avatar style with this little space in there, it's not really all that necessary. So she's got kind of a grimacing, determined expression on her face because she's in a battle stance. We're only going to be drawing her face, but later on, if the interest is good enough, I'm going to take this drawing and I want to add on to it and show you how to do some kind of upper body musculature stuff. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comment section down below once again. So now let's go ahead and move up to the eyes. There we go, got that to focus a little bit better. So for her eyes, since she is an Avatar style character, they're going to be fairly large. So we'll draw the outside edge of, actually we're going to draw the inside edge of the eye first. And it's going to go out and make it basically an almond shape. So the top of the eye is going to look much like this, and it's going to stop a little ways before we reach the edge of the face over here because we need to have room for the outside edge of the eye. Then for the edge here, it doesn't go straight down. It rounds itself out just a little bit. And it's actually going to continue around to the bottom lid of the eye. Like so. So from what I've seen, her eyes have kind of more of a slant to them. Again, much like Zuko. I'm equating Korra a lot to Zuko, and I don't know if that's annoying any fans of Korra or not, again, because I don't know anything about what The Legend of Korra is about. I have seen a few episodes, and while I'm talking about that, you can see that I needed to make this a little bit more rounded and not quite so slanty. But I have seen a few episodes of Korra. It is not bad. I would never say that it's bad. It's clear that there's a lot of effort being put into that show, but for me, there can really only be one Avatar series, and The Last Airbender was it for me. I saw the finale of Season 2. It was fairly weird, I guess. Maybe the theme of Legend of Korra is a lot more spiritual than The Last Airbender was. But if people like that, then power to you. It's just doesn't really seem like the kind of show that I could be interested in. And you can see while I was doing that I finished up the shape for the right side of Korra's eye. So once again, it's basically an almond shape. It's thinner on the ends and it's rounded in the middle. Make sure it's rounded and not slanted. What we can do then is I can come back to this eye here. I'm just basically going to draw the exact same shape around it, just make it a little bit thicker out here to give Korra's eyelashes. Like so. And I can do the same over here. So once again, it's pretty thin along the middle rim of the eye. When you reach out to the edge, you will want to make them a little bit thicker to make it actually look like eyelashes. And then of course, you can shade them in so it doesn't look quite so strange. Oh, and on the note of the whole Korra series, I actually don't even know who Korra is related to. I mean, I don't know if she's related to Aang or Katara. I don't know if she's their kid. I don't know anything about it. So, if you wouldn't mind, you can just let me know let me know who Korra actually is. I mean, is she just the next in line for the Avatar, or is she more directly related to Aang than I previously know? So now what we can do is we can actually come back to the face shape down here, and we can define that a little bit more. I made this part a little bit too skinny. So for Korra's face, it shouldn't be quite so skinny, so we're going to have it go out a little ways more than I did before. And of course, keeping it rounded. There we go, that looks a little bit better. Let's clean that up. And make that transition a little bit smoother as well. Okay, now what we can do is we can come back up here and do the actual pupils, or the iris of Korra's eyes, and the irises are very large, very large. So they're going to go almost all the way down to the end of the eye here, and it's going to end in such a way that she's looking up and to the left, up there. So over on this side, we want to, when we draw the back of the eye over here, we want to make sure that it has more space than this area does here. So you can see that by leaving more space over here than I did here, it gives the indication that Korra is looking off to the to her right, our left. That's very important, is establishing the differences in space in the whites of the eye to help dictate where the eye is actually looking. What we can do then is add the two semicircles of light and the other circle for the pupil of Korra's eye. Just like so. And then there's also another shine you can draw just like here, just like by adding a little semicircle down at the bottom of the eye. And there's basically it. There is the majority of Korra's facial features. Now, the one thing that is very iconic that I noticed about Korra is her actual hairstyle. It's very unique. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out and we're going to draw the basic shape for her hair and then move into the finer details. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not very smart. There is one pretty important facial feature that I forgot to do. Can you guess what it is? Yep, it's the eyebrows. I'm very smart. So Korra is fairly angry in most of the iconic pictures that I've seen of her. So what you can do is you can draw a little arch right here coming off of the edge of her eye, because her eyebrows, in this picture at least, are coming directly from her actual eyes themselves. So they go at a fairly steep angle, all the way up to here, and it'll emerge, the top of the eyebrow will emerge out of the eye at around here, and then it's going to get extremely thin right up at the top, just like so. And we can do the same over here. Not as extreme of an angle as this one, because this side of the face is turned more towards us. It's the bottom of the eyebrow is actually going to emerge at about here. And level off. And it's going to emerge from the front of the eye at around here. And then the top of the eyebrow is going to level off much like so. So maybe I put this one at a bit too extreme of an angle. Let's fix that up a little bit. Let's make it not go quite so ridiculously high up. So everything seems a little bit better balanced that way. So you can see that when I add in the shading, it's almost that you can't tell where the eyebrows and the actual eyes themselves are separated. Which seems to be the running theme with the Korra model, with the Korra design that I've seen. So it's just something interesting to keep in mind. So I've gone ahead and erased most of the stuff down here because we don't really need it anymore. But I left this one up here because it can always be helpful for when we place the high ponytail piece near the end. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to draw basically the top part of our hair first. And so what we want to do is come around about here to about the middle of the eye. And we're just going to draw a basic shape that'll give us the overall size of Korra's hair. And it's not going to go much higher up than the top of the head that we have up here. But it will go at least a small distance above it. Much like so. And then what we can go ahead and do is we can actually draw in the bangs area for Korra. And so to do that, we'll come right back here to where we started. Go above the eyebrow. And draw a curving form that curves up to about here. And this will be the first part in her hair. And then from there, her hair is going to go down into a couple of bangs. This first one's going to go across the middle of her forehead and curve down to where her nose, the middle of her nose would be. Then it's going to start curving back up around about here. And then what's going to do is before I move back up through here, the second bang is going to emerge at a much steeper angle. And it's going to go all the way over to the side of the head over here. We can draw the other side of the bang right here. And then there's going to be a separation to show the part of her forehead here before the hair starts back up again. So you should have a basic shape that looks something like this for right now. What we can do then is we can continue building off from here in order to move out to the rest of the hair. So what we can do is from right here, right at this part where the hair parted, we can draw a line that continues to move up and move slightly to the right until it reaches that hairline that we had before. At which point it's going to start leveling off, and we're going to start defining the top of the hair now. So what we can do is we can draw the next part of the hair to be a little bit below this upper part of the hair here to give it a little bit more shape and definition. It's going to move out to about where the outside edge of this guiding point was, and then it's going to move pretty steeply down in a couple of different chunks of hair, like so. Then we can move back here and start redefining the edge of the hair up here. This side is also going to move down at a fairly decent angle, and it's going to stop just where that guiding circle ended as well. And then over here to finish this part up, we're going to come to about right here and draw a line that angles up into that bang that we drew earlier. So there's the basic outline for Korra's hairline that we see here. What we can then do is we can draw a small line that curves like this over here. That'll indicate just a little bit of the direction that Korra's hair is going in. What I can then do is I can then clean up all of this stuff here since we no longer need it. So basically, don't make her hair too high up and don't make it emerge too far out to the sides. Her hair is not really that poofy, all things considered. Now we'll just continue finishing off up here, and then we'll move on to the little ear tails that she has over on the side of her head. So what we can do is we can come to the, here's basically the middle line for the head that we had. We're going to draw a little cylinder that's curved at the top. That's pretty much going straight up, about like this. Then we can draw another circle or another semicircle that starts below where the top of this shape is and draw it around it. That gives the appearance of a three-dimensional space there because we don't see the back edge of that ring. And then basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to draw a ponytail part for Korra's hair. She has many different parts to her hair. Her hair is very sectional. What we're going to do is we're going to start on the inside of this cylinder here. We're going to draw a shape that curves out and around this little ponytail holder that she has here. And then it's basically going to, I can draw the basic shape for you. It's going to curve around like this, basically. So once you have that basic inside line, you can go ahead and draw the rest of her hair curving around that. So there's the outside edge, and the inside edge is going to be, basically if you took this line and took it behind the cylinder here, it would emerge right where this line would end. If that makes any sense. Probably not. So it's going to be very thin right here. That gives the appearance that the hair is actually moving through a three-dimensional space. You can then draw another little strand of hair here to give it a little bit more actual form and make it not just look like one weird solid piece of hair. Can you go ahead and erase that stuff out? And then we're going to draw a small little bit, like again, if you took this line and continued it behind her head, it would emerge out right here and finish off the hairline with a few little spikes. You can then erase that. So there's the top of Korra's hair and her entire hairline, basically all finished. What we can do now is I'm going to zoom in closer so we can do the actual ear tail parts of her hair and her ears, and we'll basically be done. Alright, ladies and gents, so to finish everything off here, we're going to draw her little ear tail holder things first. I guess that's what you would call them. So the ear tail things are basically going to be kind of like the cylinder that we drew up here, only you're going to see all of it. So what you can do first is you can draw a little cylinder or a little tube that's bigger than both sides of the hair piece that you drew before. So it looks like this hair actually can go inside here. Then you're going to draw a tube that goes right on the side of her head, of her face, just like so. And the top of it, that you're going to round it off, is inside of the little tube that you drew before. So once again, that gives the appearance that this whole thing is actually 3D and not just something super flat. What you can do then is draw a small, almost pebble shape, right on the end of the tube. Now if you feel like your tube is too small or too skinny, you can always just widen it up a little bit more. You can widen up the hair to accommodate that as well. Just make it until you believe it to be about the right size. We'll do the other ear tube over here. Now this one's going to be flying off to the side over here because thanks to the hair up here, it gives her a very dynamic look. So we're going to make her little ear tube things reflect that. Let me fix this one up first a little bit. It's bothering me. Now it's not bothering me quite so much. Same process over here. We're just going to be drawing the tube so it's going at more of an angle outwards like this. So that when I draw the tube, I'm going to draw it going at a much steeper angle than the one that was over here. Just like so. Once again, finish off the tube so it's inside the first cylinder that you drew. Gives it a three-dimensional look. And then we can finish off the tube at roundabouts here. You can see that I'm giving this one more of a kidney bean shape here at the end. That's to make it look like it's curving around the hair that's going to be emerging from these two things here. You can see I made this one just a little bit skinnier than this one. That gives the appearance that this one is moving a little bit further back in space. And once again, if you still think that this one is a little bit too small, you can always widen it out to be just a tiny bit bigger. But don't make it too big. So basically, we can draw the middle line for the hair first. This part of her hair is going to be curving around her chin and moving off towards the side of the face over here. So using that guideline, we can then draw the hair emerging from the hair tube. So what you want to realize first is that as the hair is coming out of the tube, since it's been scrunched up pretty heavily in here, it should billow out to the sides first before it starts taking on any kind of shape. That'll give it, once again, the appearance like it's been compressed, and so now it's actually free and it can move around a lot more freely. So this one's going to move around her chin shape. So you can see that even if you don't like the shape of her chin over here, it doesn't matter because it's covered by her hair in this regard. And the hair is going to end at about right here. And it'll start curving back in. And it'll meet back up with this part right here. And then from here, we can add a few smaller details to it, a few more curls of hair to give it a little bit more depth and dimension to it. Like adding a strand here, for example, and maybe adding one right here. The key thing is to make it look like that they flow naturally back into the hair formation, and don't look like they've just been stuck on there at a weird angle. Can clean everything up there. And maybe make this a little bit skinnier as it gets to the end. Okay, so there's what one can basically look like. So let's draw the second one. So the second one, again, as it emerges out of the ear tube, it should billow out just a little ways. We can think of the basic shape for this one as being a kind of a deflated S shape, if that makes any sense. So as we draw the shape, it'll move around that baseline that we drew. And then it will come back around on the bottom side to finish it off. And then you can again add a few more little hair pieces here and there to give it that extra bit of dimension and character to it. So it doesn't look just like a weird kind of foxtail thing that's sticking out of her ear tubes. I don't know what those things are actually called. They're not. I imagine that this character is possibly related to Katara because these things kind of remind me a lot of her hair loop things. But again, I could be entirely wrong. I am no expert on Korra. But I do like her design, and I'm glad that a lot of people requested her to be drawn because she's a very cool character. I like that she seems to be a fairly strong female character because that continues Avatar's penchant for having very well-developed female characters, both good and evil characters, which is very rare. You can clean that up there. And now the very last thing to do, now that we've gotten the hair loops done, is we're going to come right over here to right where the hair loop thing starts up here, and drawing a small semicircle that's going to come out and then come back in at roundabouts where that first bang emerged. Drawing a small detail there, and that is Korra's ear. So ladies and gentlemen, that is that. That is Korra all finished up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this bad lady up and come back to you with my closing thoughts. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Korra is all cleaned up and fully inked up. Once again, I want to thank all of you for watching, and again, thank you for sticking with me through that very long hiatus on videos. And let me know in the comments below if you think Korra is a good show or not. I'm actually quite curious as to what people think about it. I've heard varying degrees from really good to kind of reactions. And also later on, at a later date, I'm going to be taking the same picture and I'm just going to be adding on sort of the upper chest region and arm region for Korra to try and show you how to do something like that at some point. Let me know if you're interested in that. So, thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Mr. Schwartz with another episode of Mr. Schwartz's Art Hour. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, have yourselves a great day.